Bonjour tout le monde. Nobody's here today, so I'm just going to go ahead and teach the lesson. And we're going to do a little bit of grammar, and then we're going to do a couple exercises in the book. So, what do I mean by do a little grammar? Let's look right here. Okay, so we're going to work on IR verbs. The chapter Bon Appetit deals with both RE and IR verbs. So the RE verbs are, for example, boire, to drink, je bois, tu bois, il boit, nous buvons, vous buvez, ils boivent du coca, je bois du lait, tu bois de la bière, il boit du vin, nous buvons, qu'est-ce que nous buvons? Nous buvons un coup de whisky. Vous buvez tous les soirs. So those are RE verbs. We're going to talk about IR verbs. So the book has 8 IR verbs in chapter 5, Bon Appetit. And they are finir, grossir, maigrir, choisir, grandir, obéir à, réfléchir à, réussir à. And I'll explain the à in a little bit. So before we get started, let's talk about what a radical is. So maybe radish rings a bell. What kind of part of the plant is a radish? It's the root. So the radical, grammatically speaking, is the smallest part of the verb. It's the root. It does not change in the conjugation of the verb. Okay, so the conjugations are the endings, and it changes in French. The endings change, but the radical does not change. So let's look at finir, the verb finir. The radical is fini, and so here you see it. Fini, 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 finissons, finissez, et finissent. Notice that the F-I-N-I does not change, does not change, does not change, does not change. The reason we say that it is not F-I-N-S, because look, there's no S on the il, elle, on. Let's look at grossir, to get fatter, something many of us did during the quarantine. Je grossis, tu grossis, ils, elles, on grossit, nous grossissons, vous grossissez, ils, elles grossissent. Okay? They get fatter. So what is the radical? It is G-R-O-2-S-I. Grossi, 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 grossi. And then you have those endings. So in this one, the first person, je grossis, it's not pronounced. Second person, grossi, it's not pronounced. Third person, singular, grossi, that ending is not pronounced. But listen for the first person plural, nous grossissons, grossissons. Listen for the second person plural, vous grossissez, vous grossissez. And then it is also pronounced in the third person plural, but watch that ENT, ils, elles grossissent, ils, elles grossissent. Okay, so let's go on to a couple more verbs. And this time I want you to figure out what the radical is. So I will just explain maigrir. So maigrir and grossir are opposites. To maigrir is to get thinner. To grossir is to get fatter. So the conjugation is as follows. Je maigris, tu maigris, ils, elles, on maigri, nous maigrissons, vous maigrissez, ils, elles maigrissent. So stop, think, and ask yourself, what is the radical here? And if you stopped and thought and told yourself it's M-A-I-G-R-I, you would be right. Je maigris, 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 maigrissons, maigrissez, maigrissent. So M-A-I-G-R-I, ça c'est le radical. M-A-I-G-R-I, M-A-I-G-R-I, that is the radical. Let's look at choisir, to choose. Je choisis, tu choisis, ils, elles, on choisit, nous choisissons, vous choisissez, ils, elles choisissent. So ask yourself, what's the radical? And if you said self, it is the C-H-O-I-S, I, you would be correct. Say H-O-E-S-E. Say H-O-E-S-E. C-H-O-I-S-I. Okay, we're going to go to grandir. To grandir means to get bigger. So grossir, fatter, grandir, bigger, but also it means to grow up. Les enfants grandissent trop vite. Children grow up so fast. So again, we're looking for that radical. And notice that endings do not change. So you have to recognize the radical and you have to understand for IR verbs, here's the endings. SS, T, SSONS, SSEZ, or Z, SSENT. So that is the conjugated ending, the conjugation, and then the radical is grandi, G-R-A-N-D-I, 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 G-R-A-N-D-I. So G-R-A-N-D-I is the radical. Obéir à quelqu'un. So in French, you obey to someone, to obey to someone. In English, we just obey. I obey my boss. I obey my parents. Maybe you obey your grandparents. Maybe your kids obey you. So let's just hear the conjugation really quickly. So j'ai obéi, tu obéis, ils ont obéi, nous obéissons, vous obéissez, ils obéissent. So the radical is obéi, accent aigu, I. Obéi, accent aigu, I. Obéi, accent aigu, I. Obéi, accent aigu, I, etc., etc., avec les conjugaisons. So réfléchir à, tu réfléchis, elles ont réfléchi, nous réfléchissons, vous réfléchissez, elles réfléchissent. So, again, think about what the radical is. It's pretty obvious. It should be to you by now that it is réfléchi up until the I. And the same with réussir, to succeed at something. So we do say that in English, to succeed at. So, j'ai réussi à manger tout le gâteau. Et puis, j'ai grossi. I succeeded at eating the entire cake, and I am getting fat. Je réussis à. So, the radical is, of course, ending with that I. Okay, and so that's all the verbs. Now we're going to go to the book. To Français Interactif. Boop. Oh, I don't have my Français Interactif pulled up. Français Interactif. And here we go. I thought I had it ready to go, and I did not. Chapitre 5, bon appétit. And we're going to work on those IR verbs in the book. Then I'm going to remind you of what's due on Moodle. And there's a quiz coming up. So that is going to be due tomorrow by midnight, and I will put it up today. All right, it's towards the end. This, let me see if I can just boop IR verbs. Boop, boop, boop. Sorry, guys. IR. I thought I had it all pulled up and ready to go. IR verbs, boom. Okay, so here's the example with IR verbs. So let's look at this. Quel verbe en IR? So this is page, so you can work along, page 126. Quel verbe en IR? So let's have a look at that. What do you associate with these different verbs? Grossir, maigrir, choisir, grandir, obéir à, réfléchir à, réussir à. So the first one is les enfants. What do you think goes with kids in the terms of meaning? So we have finir, to finish, grossir, to get fat, maigrir, to get thinner, choisir, to choose, grandir, to get taller or grow up, obéir à, réfléchir à, to obey, to think about, to succeed at. So, les enfants, normalement, on dirait les enfants grandissent. Les enfants grandissent, grandir. Les parents. So, I think it would be clearly obéissent. Les enfants obéissent aux parents. Les gourmands. All right, gourmand is a very French idea. It means to appreciate food in large quantities. Les gourmands. Les gourmands, alors, ils grossissent. Why do they grossissent? Because they like food and hence eat a lot. They like large quantities. Ils grossissent. Les amis. Les amis. I find that an odd one because I don't know what really goes with les amis. It's possible que les amis maigrissent. My friends get thinner. I would say peut-être mes amis. Je réfléchis à mes amis. I think about my friends. Je réfléchis à mes amis. Les étudiants. Oh, les étudiants réussissent. So that last one, réussissent aux examens, for example. And finally, les sportifs. Les sportifs. Les sportifs réussissent aux différentes compétitions, différents concours. Les sportifs maigrissent because they're being sporty, they get thinner. Ils maigrissent, ils réussissent. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share for a second because we're going to do a different exercise now with these IR verbs. En français, les verbes IR. Okay, so here we go. You're going to see if it's singular or plural and then check yourself. So let me get that share back. Boop, 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 boop. Okie dokie. So here we go. Ils réussissent à leurs examens. Ils réussissent à leurs examens. It's plural. Ils réussissent à leurs examens. So I'm going to read 1 through 8, and you indicate whether it's plural or singular. Numéro 2. Ah, pardon, numéro 1. Il grossit en hiver. Numéro 2. Elle finit les devoirs. Numéro 3. Ils grandissent vite. Numéro 4. Ils obéissent à leurs parents. Numéro 5. Ils choisissent les cours. Numéro 6. Ils réfléchissent aux problèmes. Numéro 7. Elles ne grossissent pas. Elles ne grossissent pas. Numéro 8. Elle réussit ses études. Elle réussit ses études. Okay, so let's have a look at that. And I'm going to share the answers with you. And here we go. Numéro 1. Il grossit en hiver. Singulier. He gets fat in winter. Numéro 2. Elle finit les devoirs. Singulier. Ils grandissent vite. Pluriel. Ils grandissent vite. Pluriel. Ils obéissent à leurs parents. Ils obéissent à leurs parents. Pluriel. Ils choisissent les cours. Ils choisissent, singulier. Ils réfléchissent au problème, pluriel. Elles ne grossissent pas. Elles ne grossissent pas, pluriel. Elle réussit ses études. Elle réussit ses études. She is successful in her studies. Singulier. So what would it be, that last one, if it were plural? Elle réussit ses études, where you couldn't tell the difference. So that can be tricky. Okay, let's look at some other exercises with the verbs. Okay, so vrai ou faux? Vrai ou faux? Excusez-moi, un instant. Les mauvais étudiants finissent toujours leur devoir. Vrai ou faux? Les mauvais étudiants finissent toujours leur devoir. That would be faux, because bad students, this says bad students finish their homework. Bad students always finish their homework. So that is false. Bad students never finish their homework. Donc, les mauvais étudiants ne finissent jamais leur devoir. Les bons étudiants réussissent souvent leurs examens. Les bons étudiants réussissent souvent leurs examens. That is vrai. Les mauvais étudiants choisissent des cours difficiles. Les mauvais étudiants choisissent des cours difficiles. Well, that is false. Good students choose hard classes. Bad students choose easy classes. I don't know if you guys agree. Les mauvais étudiants obéissent aux règles. Les mauvais étudiants obéissent aux règles. So they want you to say that that is faux, that bad students, they obey the rules. Bad students obey the rules. So good students obey the rules. This is very conformist. Les bons étudiants réfléchissent avant de répondre. Les bons étudiants réfléchissent avant de répondre. That would be vrai. Good students think before responding. Good students think before responding. Okay, and the last couple of things we're going to do are this quick one where I don't know the answers. Tu finis toujours tes devoirs. So just answer for yourself, vrai ou faux. Tu finis toujours tes devoirs. Actually, I do know the answer. Some of you always do this and others never do this. Finish your homework. Tu réussis souvent les examens. Tu réussis souvent les examens ou tes examens. Okay, so oui ou non. Are you successful at passing your exams? Tu choisis les cours difficiles. Tu choisis les cours difficiles. Do you choose difficult classes? Tu accomplis beaucoup. Tu accomplis beaucoup. So accomplir is also an IR verb. Its radical is what we've been talking about. So it ends on that I there. Tu accomplis beaucoup. Oui ou non. And it's obviously accomplish. Tu obéis aux règles. Tu obéis aux règles. Oui ou non. I don't know. Do you guys follow your rules? Tu réfléchis avant de répondre. Tu réfléchis avant de répondre. You think before answering. Okay, now finally we're going to move on to choisir. Choisir. Quand tu vas au restaurant, est-ce que tu choisis en entrée une salade ou de la soupe ou une autre chose? Peut-être tu choisis un cocktail. Je ne sais pas ce que vous choisir. What I want you to note here in exercice 22 is that choisir en entrée. Entrée is not an entrée as it is in English. So remember this. Entrée is a appetizer. Quand tu vas au restaurant, est-ce que tu choisis comme plat principal du poulet, du bœuf ou un plat végétarien? So I try to get du poulet ou un plat végétarien. Je choisis du poulet. Je choisis un plat végétarien. Je mange très peu de bœuf. Quand tu vas au restaurant, est-ce que tu choisis comme boisson un coca, de l'eau, du thé ou autre chose? Moi, je choisis de l'eau ou du vin. De l'eau ou du vin. Et quand tu vas au restaurant, est-ce que tu choisis en dessert de la glace à la vanille, au chocolat ou à la fraise? Moi, je choisis, parce que je suis gourmande, je choisis la glace au chocolat. Je suis gourmande, moi. Okay, I'm going to flip us over to Moodle and to see what's coming up as a little reminder. Here we are in your class. Bon appetit. So I'm going to put up a quiz. It'll be up probably by tonight. The quiz, I just want you to do the best you can. It's going to be on chapter 5, you'll see. And then coming due next week, but tomorrow you have the second part of your essay. So you wrote the first part, I read it, I graded it, read my comments, and elaborate on the second part of that essay. It's due again tomorrow. And then next week, we're going to go over the entire chapter. And you have an exam. You'll have about 24 hours to do it. Okay, along with that, you have to do the grammar, upload the grammar as usual. So a lot of you, I'm not seeing that you're doing your homework. You can't just dump it all on me at the end of the semester. So I'm going to try to reach out to some of you individually and ask what's going on. Okay, and that's all for today. You know, long videos are boring, and this has probably gone on too long anyway. So stay tuned for the quiz. I'll make sure I send it out to you. Okay, bye-bye.